Not gonna lie, I thought I was about to get blue balls by them, teasing once again this world that Leo was a part of and then not have too much information. So, very thankful that we got not even just a bit of explanation, we got the whole thing. We got an entire backstory. And I mean, you could just tell the sigh of relief Leo let out when just talking with Mernes being like, I have no idea why I'm saying this, but goddamn, I'm so happy there's a good listener who lets me say it. And I'm happy that I did get it slightly right here. I didn't get it perfect, but I am glad that my idea of this modern-looking world wasn't an isekai, isn't the future or anything like that, but rather it was his past. Because for me, the big key giveaway was that the world that we're currently looking at through Leo's eyes in terms of now working for the demon army, being pushed away by humanity, very much, the architecture in this world on the human side looked very similar and reminiscent to this modern-looking Tokyo, Japan, modern-looking world. So because of that, to me, it almost felt post-apocalyptic, as if he's been around the block for a long time. They're teasing the Philosopher's Stone. Maybe he is just someone who can live a long time, or as I brought up, a King Arthur approach. And for those who don't know what that is, the whole Arthurian legend and King Arthur is that King Arthur will rise again when Camelot will need him and things like that. So maybe it's a similar approach that Leo lives a life, he dies when humanity needs him, he's born again, and he does the cycle over and over. Didn't even cross my mind that he's just been alive for over 1,000 years, probably closer to 10,000 years, given he stopped counting after 1,000. And I think that makes it more tragic, because for being built as a living weapon, this super soldier, one of a dozen, and the only one who's still around because his lifespan is just that ridiculous. I love the idea of him being around for so long that him actually being pushed away from humanity isn't actually something that makes him resentful and wants to destroy it, but rather he can finally do something of his own accord because he's built with a purpose, protect humanity. So to finally have humanity say, we're scared of you because you never age, you never leave, you always will just do this. Like, eventually, I mean, there's gotta be a generation that fears that, right? Because that is literally a walking weapon who, I mean, sure, has been doing the cycle over and over again, but truthfully, put on the humanity side, if I knew that there's always a person who outlives everyone, I mean, it is a little frightening, I have to admit. So I love the idea that rather than this being that story, like I saw so many channels with titles being like, Leo wants to destroy the world, the hero wants to destroy the world. That was never my impression. That always just kind of gave me clickbait vibes. And I love the idea that Leo, the reason he chose Ekidana and the reason he chose his demon army is because he can tell good people from bad people. And the side he truly wanted to fight for, after sparing the lives of the generals, was this demon army because they're good people and he could tell that. And the fact that he got that relief of, we don't want you, it finally let him do something for himself for the first time since he was created. And I think that's such a brilliant way to play with so many ideas that I saw so many people convinced were the case. So many people thinking it was an isekai, so many people thinking he's just going to destroy the world because, let's just be edgy. But rather, this author and the studio adapting this material, they knew what they were doing. They were saying, yeah, isekai, they can be fun. And the idea of turning hero to villain can be fun. But what if, eventually there was just a demon army who was led by a genuinely good person who had her own desires, didn't want to enslave humanity, and in doing so, this man finally found someone he wanted to serve rather than was forced to serve. I think that's such a brilliant way to subvert expectations while also continuing to flesh out just how good of a leader Ekidana truly was, and how, someone who's designed to destroy demons or anyone opposing humanity, when you look at some of these humans who are liberated by this demon lord, and then in comes the man who pushes them away, you can understand even more so why certain people would start resenting, right? Because, a lot of these common people were actually saved by the demon army. I thought that was such a brilliant scene, and without a doubt my favorite episode of the show, because it gives so much context and clues. And you could just hear, it was a very subtle voice directing, but Leo's voice actor, the way he just perfectly captured someone who's had his shit together for a long time, longer than anyone. And it's not like he was ready to break down and cry, but it was just one of those things where it felt like a vault. It was perfectly sealed, there was no chance that it would overflow, and all the drama would spill out. But the fact that someone asked the question, and the fact that he could just let it all out, sure, it probably would have been best if the Demon Lord herself heard it, just given everything, but the fact that he could just let it out and be like, sometimes you just need someone to listen to. And that was amazing. And I especially love seeing, even on the flip side, Murne's backstory and the reason why he joined up. The fact of just his very sad backstory, the slavery, the fact that he's half demon, half human, parents threw him away, had to be raised as an assassin, joined up initially just so he could kill humanity. If I have to kill the Demon Lord and take over, I will do that. But of course, I mean, anyone who follows this woman eventually is going to be swayed more often than not. But it was just nice to kind of get that satisfaction. I think a lot of authors probably would have kept this a secret a bit longer, even in anime studio, because the idea of the mystery, is it an isekai? Is it, is that going to be the future? Is he going to die here and be reborn in the future? But the fact that they did kind of let it all out on the table, the fact that they didn't do it too soon, if this would have happened in the first 3 episodes, I think it wouldn't have had as much impact. But getting to know these generals one by one and really getting to know the Demon Lord herself, and to have it happen here in honestly a pretty unexpected way, if you ask me. I thought we'd get a little taste, a little tidbit, but not the full thing. And that's what makes it such a compelling episode for me, that it had that much emotion, but it didn't overdo any particular moment, right? We got to get a taste of what this man is capable of, the almost mecha suit, just even the different warriors that were working with him, from freezing to launching almost like acid rain, it felt like. There's just so many cool things. And I love the idea that a world that's very similar to our own, invaded by demons, what do? Nothing's working. It takes a dozen normal soldiers with guns to take out one goblin. Well, we're going to create a super soldier. And then they make 12 of them. And the fact that, it really did do everything, but eventually, cycle continues, right? I have to say, this show's really impressed me. I'd say more so than a lot of shows I'm watching this season, because I thought it was going to be one of two things. Either it would be, I'm Quitting Heroing is that show where it switches from the humans to the demons, we're going to go destroy humanity. Or it'd be just a more funny show, like, okay, there's a little bit of an emotional hook, but we're just going to be more comfy. And I would argue a lot of it has been pretty comfy, but I love the fact that they haven't shied away from the hinting and the foreshadowing of where this man came from. I just wasn't quite expecting the consistent life, and if it was that, I thought it was because of the Philosopher's Stone or something like that, but not actual human experimentation. And I have to say, I'm really glad that it is his past there and not his future or a different world, because I think it makes the tragedy of his life all the better, because outliving everyone you've come to know and love, and the fact that you're almost forced to protect humanity at different points when you probably didn't want to protect them, because I guarantee you there was more than just this one time that he probably would have chose to side with the demon army. There's probably different points in his past that he wishes he could have fought on the different side of the spectrum, but unfortunately, he's bound by code. But if those people push him away, he finally gets to do what he wants. And I think that's what makes it so great, is that the current version of humanity isn't without its sins, and that's why he's probably pretty happy that he doesn't have to protect him anymore. But at the same time, there's just something so good about what usually is the cliche generic evil is actually probably the most human out of all of them right now. And I love that. I mean, I really love this show, love what it's doing. We're halfway through it, and it feels like the quality is just getting started in terms of how great it can actually be, and it's already pretty fantastic. I'm loving it. I mean, if anything's to go off of with current pacing, we're going to get, Fake Rider, Edwell there, going to be popping up, and we'll be interested to see his suicide attempt and how he'll get him out of that predicament. But still, loving it. What did everyone else think, though? Let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you're new around here. Till next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.